Simone, would you mind standing up once more? So working through into the back, what we've done on the left side is the bulk of the work. The right side is really just about matching. So we will take a section that covers the middle of the back, and we will work up this back section, matching the left side that we've cut to the right side that we haven't. I'll repeat it again, it's so important because it's one of the key reasons why people get lost in a haircut. It's very important that the client's head doesn't deviate from the centre. They can move slightly forward from the rest position, but mustn't move left to right. I can show you here on this section that I've cut at the back what happens when a client moves their head slightly to the right. See how the left side of the section has moved up about 1 inch. The right side hasn't moved hardly at all. If I wasn't to notice that, and I just cut a straight line here, the reverse would then happen when she stood at rest. I would have hair that was 1 inch shorter on this side than this side. I'll just repeat that movement. Now there's more hair there, and you can see how much this moves when the head moves. So we've completed the right side now to match the two up. We have our outline. Very important now for stage 2, where we want to see the shape of the hair, how the natural texture of the hair affects that shape. We want to dry it in a controlled but natural way. So while we've been cutting it wet, these roots would have started to dry off. This has started to dry off. We need to damp that down again, break this up before we start to dry. Otherwise we're going to have an artificial style from where this has been sitting so long. So we simply make sure that that parting is properly wet, and we just comb one way, the other way, just to break that parting and allow the hair to resettle as natural. So what we're doing here is allowing the hair to dry freely, but at the same time lifting the hair so that each individual root has its own space to dry without any imposition from the hairs around it. The art of what we do with a haircut is to take the haircut as far as possible that the hair looks fantastic without any styling. Any styling on top of that is icing on the cake. Now we have the hair dry, I can see much more clearly how the hair's trying to behave. The wave in the hair, the texture is bringing it out. It's no longer just flat planes of hair. And it's that shape that we want to work on, because we're deciding with our haircut, what is that shape from the front? What is that shape from the side view? From the back? How does that blend? How does it move? These are things we can't possibly do when the hair's wet. So it's critical that we see hair in its natural state to give optimum results. And that is premium, personalised hairdressing, which is what clients pay so much for. I've only cut the outline so far, and I know that we had some short layers in places, but I can see those more clearly now. And so what I'm left with, having taken the hair up a few inches, is quite a heavy base. And I can see more clearly these layers that fall short of that base. They've been sort of taken in at a couple of levels, quite high up here, but they don't really blend into the underneath. And then there are shorter layers coming across here, which makes the hair a little bit weak as well. So what I will be wanting to do is to bring up some layers underneath, so that from the front we have more of a shape that brings lift underneath these hairs here to bring this out. And likewise from the back, instead of this sense of it hanging very straight and flat, I'm going to want to create some layers underneath to give movement and lift and come into these shorter layers that we have here. What that will do also is bring the hair up slightly at the sides here. At the front, because I've only been working on the one length outline, this is quite heavy and crude at the moment. So again, we will be layering this through here, so we'll bevel this up and break into it to create movement and texture around the face. And being able to comb the hair and bring the hair to our fingers in a controlled way is the essence of everything we do. And if we can't do that, we're going to build errors into our haircuts, which will compound and create larger and larger steps and mistakes through the layered shape. So being able to work with a comb to control the hair is the essence of working on dry hair. So we have our one length outline, and we're going to start with our first layer, which is very, very little lift, and it just takes us up a few degrees, and we take perhaps 1 millimeter off that first layer. But there's no sudden changes of angle. If we're going from 0 degrees of lift, the first layer will be a few degrees more, a few degrees more, and we blend those layers in. If we go from here to here in one layer, we're going to get a step. And it's really important that this hair comes to here. If I was to pull this hair across here, that angle would create extra length and we wouldn't cut enough off. So whilst I'm working on this side of the section, I will cut this hair here. As I move to this side, I'm coming further over here. And I can see clearly my guideline underneath. And I know things are working as expected, because as each section is cut, I'm taking a little piece more off, starting from just 1 millimeter, working my way up, taking a little piece more off each time. And if I could show the movement of the comb that allows me to keep that tension. So we're starting to layer that base, bevel that up, and I'm expecting to see more and more hair. Now I'm coming up at higher angles, not on the left, because here, this hair here is still really hairline. That's outline here. Even though I'm using that as a guide, if I was to cut that shorter, that's actually my outline that hangs over the ear. And that's a very, very common mistake in hairdressing, that hair's being picked up and cut without thinking where that comes from. And that's why we often see holes between the side and the ear, where this has been held high and cut, and by the time it falls, it has further to fall than the hair down here, and so we end up with a gap. So we have to be very, very careful.